This is James Dixon, the absolute motivator, and I couldn't be more excited to bring to you a young man whose journey is just beginning. He's a speaker who is going to be turning up the volume of his life and his impact by the way he serves others. I want to introduce you to Hunter and then get into his story. Hunter, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, James.
Hunter, let's start with this story. How old are you now?
21, turn 22 next month.
People will be wondering, why is a 21, 22-year-old wanting to be a motivational speaker?
Oh, man. I didn't even think a year and a half ago that I'd even be in this position, let alone even be on a podcast, be with a guy like James, who's helping people the way I want to as well. So a year and a half ago, I was in a hunting accident that changed the course of my life. God had a plan for me that I didn't even know was possible. I was hunting with one of my best friends, who's actually my cousin, and the gunshot that he accidentally hit me with changed the course of my life in such a way that I couldn't even explain the happiness and joy that I felt, but also the pain that's come with it, because there's a lot of pain and suffering in the growth process.
There's lessons you live by, and then there's lessons you learn to fulfill, and they come out of you. One of the things I think that have come out of you is that adversity comes no matter how good you are. You had just come home from serving for 2 years, correct?
Yeah, mission for the Church of Jesus Christ.
And so when you came home, you go out, you do something that you enjoy doing.
Passion.
It's who you were born to be, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that your family named you Hunter, and then that's a passion of yours, and then God ordered your steps in such a way that while you were walking, you were shot by friendly fire. Complete accident. But it changes the course of your life.
Yeah.
You skipped over when we were talking. You were like, your life changed that day, but you almost lost your life that day.
Oh, man.
Talk a little bit about what you went through to get here.
As a hunter, quite literally, in both ways. As a hunter, when you go hunting, you expect the best. You expect the outcome of, at least enjoying the outdoors and the creations that God's made. Or even bagging the big game or small game that you're going after. And we did. We were successful that day. And at the end of that day, tragedy happened where, like we talked about, the accident happened. I was in the hospital for 3 weeks. And the first 12 days, they said, hey, we're going to try our best to save your leg. There was no amputation, do surgery to cut off your leg type talk at all. So I remember there was my third or fourth surgery I went in. I'm putting the anesthesia mask on, and the doctor says, hey, we might have to take your leg. And I sat up and I said, what? That's the last thing you want to hear as a three-sport athlete in high school, someone who's as active as I am, 20 years old, supposed to be the peak prime of my life. And the last thing I want to hear is, hey, we're taking your leg, as I'm getting ready to put the anesthesia mask on. And I told him, I said, no, you're not. You're not doing that right now. You can't slap me across the face like that when I haven't heard this. It's the first time I'm hearing this. And so my aunt, who's a nurse there for 20 years, she was in the room and runs out and shoots this doctor out. I was like, you can't say that to him, right? And the emotion I felt going to that, and she was like, they're not going to do it, But I remember after I woke up, it was like my leg was already gone, because that thought in my head of like, it's not there anymore. I couldn't feel it after the accident because the damage that was done. I couldn't really feel my leg at all, either way, below the knee, because of the nerve damage that was done. So after waking up from that surgery, it was like that's when my journey of my amputation started, even though they hadn't even amputated yet. Because I just knew. As soon as he said that thought in my head, I knew
this
it was
going to happen to me. The whole thing about when they told you you're going to lose your leg, you felt like, was it just shock? Was it just disappointment? Was it fear? What hit you? Because the idea of it changed your whole life. Yeah. Gone is the image of you being the athlete. Gone is the image of you running and all those things. Yeah. And if they say they're going to take your leg and you don't even know what that life looks like, what did you feel in that moment?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people know me as the three-sport athlete, right? The missionary who biked and ran and played sports growing up, loved to hunt and fish, would do anything to be in the outdoors and running and anything with a ball. And so my identity was really shaken.
Yeah.
It was shaken. I didn't really know who I was for a long time. It seemed like I was Hunter Rasmussen, but like, who's Hunter Rasmussen without the sports, without the outdoors, without the hunting? Like, who am I really? And I had to come to the conclusion that I'm like, one, I'm a son of God. I had to make that firm in my belief. I'm like, I am a son of God no matter what.
Legs or no leg, I am
Legs or no
still
leg.
his son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I know because the plan that he has set for me that after I leave this life, I will be able to have a full restored body again where I will have 2 legs.
So this is temporary.
This is temporary.
And so I can't have a permanent mindset about something that's temporary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the third one is like, I'm going to make the best out of it no matter what. And so that's why when I met you, I'm like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity to show not only myself, but other people that it's possible. Like, I'm going through complications even right now with this wound back on, where it's like I wore my leg back in August, September, October, November, almost every day.
So people would think that, man, after the amputation, you get up, you get your prosthetic, and maybe one day you'll get up and be able to move around, but it's not that.
No.
This thing has been a roller coaster. Some days you've been up, other days you've been down. There's been setbacks. There's pain you're in that is continually there that's a reminder that you weren't shot, right?
Yep.
It was a shot in life,
Yeah.
right? That has echoes beyond that. There are still fragments of bullets they're still pulling out of you to this day, correct?
Right. And I think of it too, like we talked about, it's given me another shot though.
That's a good one.
Right? It's given me another shot to continue the mission that I ended when I got home off my mission. Because as returned missionaries, I feel like sometimes we're like, oh, we've served 2 years diligently.
I'm done.
You know, I'm kind of done. I can take a little bit of a break. Like, I'm still going to go through the motions. You know, I'm still going to go to church. I'm still going to read my scriptures here and there. But it's like, you're not doing it like you were before.
Yeah.
And so God was like, no, step back into that place.
Yeah.
Keep going. Keep moving forward. Keep your mission going. And
You weren't coming home from a mission. You came home to find your mission.
Mm-hmm.
What you've gone through was to turn you into something useful.
Yeah.
No matter how it may feel at times. And there are times where you're hurting. There are times where you're wondering why. And I want you to understand this always. He has a plan. There's a reason why you want to motivate people. Because you had to find that motivation yourself. The thing that you told yourself, I'm still a son of God. No matter what I go through, though my mission is not over just because I've come home. I don't get to clock out. In fact, he gave you a new job description.
Yeah.
And so when we met, and I'm like, man, you said you want to do what I do. And I'm telling you, you're called to do more.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because God's got a runway for you. I didn't learn this until 3 years ago to go all in. You get to start that just as you're becoming that adult man God wanted. Mm-hmm. But you can't allow yourself to ever feel sorry. You can never wonder why. You got to embrace this thing. And the more you embrace it, the more you become a brace that others can lean on.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see more and more out of you. So it's not about being 20. It's about the fact that God put you on a runway so that he can elevate you and use you.
Yeah.
Talk about what it's felt like when you stood on stage and gotten a chance to speak.
It's something that I think God knew I could be good at. He knew that. Mm-hmm. And 2, it's almost a mental break for me. Even though I'm talking about my experience, I don't think about this. I don't think about what's going on around me. I don't think about my problems and the things that I have to worry about. It's gone. All I have to focus on is the people that I'm speaking to and who needs to hear the message that God wants them to hear. And so I think that's why I love it so much. And I've told people, too, the other thing I love speaking, like reason why, is because after I'm done speaking, people will come to me vulnerable with me since I've been vulnerable with them on stage. And I get to hear their stories, and I get to hear their experiences they've had and things that they've gone through, and they're like, man, your experience and your story reminded me of mine and what I went through, and it helped me recognize that God really did have a plan for me and that he chose me to go through this and that I did it. And they're like, thank you. So I think that's why I love it so much. And has it been hard? So hard. But I wouldn't choose any other way. And a quote that I love is, the harder the road, the higher the calling.
Yeah.
For sure.
And whom much is given, much is required. And there's a whole lot required of you. You know that, right?
Yeah.
There are over 2 million amputees, and it will grow to 3.5 million in the next couple of years of diabetes and lifestyle changes. For those who will be coming to this life, who will have to carry this same cross, would you speak to them for just a moment about what they can expect and why they can't give up?
You only have 2 options. And one is either you can crawl up in bed and not leave that bed or wherever you're at. You can stay in the same place. 2, you can take one step in front of the other, which is quite literally what we do. We take one step, one foot in front of the other. And that has been a life changer for me because quite literally I had to take one step in front of the other for a long time. I was on crutches for 7 months almost. Mm-hmm. And so those incremental steps that you have are so important. Not only for you, but you inspire so many people around you that you would have no idea. For example, I had a guy come to me at the gym the other day. He says, I've been following you on Instagram for 5 months, and I've seen you at the gym almost every day for 5 months. And he goes, he's like, he basically made it sound like that he's been kind of worried to talk to me. And I said, why were you worried? And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. But he said, you coming every day, when I wake up, I've had multiple mornings where I've said to myself, I see you at the gym every morning and you have one leg. I have 2. Why can't I go? And I was like, wow. And he told me, he's like, there's multiple people that I've talked to about you, specifically at the gym that I go to, that they're like, that kid, why can't I go if he's there? So not only are you helping yourself, you're helping so many other people.
That's it, yeah. This whole thing, but you are a silent witness whether people see it or not. Mm-hmm. But imagine if you take yourself off of mute and begin to speak. And then while you're speaking and telling people about the better life and what they can do and how you're overcoming, you're an example of that. If you take that off of mute and turn the volume up and begin to tell them how you're making it and why. There's so many people who've been waiting on your voice. You don't even know.
Yeah.
There'll be millions that will end up seeing the things we do today and the genesis of it. Even one day you'll look back and see where you came from and remind yourself, right? And it's so important for you to be able to speak into people's lives. What's your goals? What's next for you?
What's next for me is to elevate my whole life. Not even just speaking, but my whole entire life. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, everything. To take that one next step up and just to keep going. Because if I do that, if I put God first, everything else will fall in line. That's what I've learned. That was one thing I learned in my mission. You put God first, everything else will fall in line the way it's supposed to. You ask him, you shall receive.
Yeah. Man, that's what I want for you. I want you to continue to grow and impact lives. I want you to become more passionate every time I see you. Mm-hmm. I want you to find that there are layers like an onion that get deeper, man. There's so much more than you than the tragic story of what happened. Mm-hmm. I believe that there are people who've been waiting. For me, I had my grandmother in my life who poured into me. And for you, you have the same thing. Talk a little bit about your family support and specifically your grandmother and what you guys have in common.
My family supported me through everything. I think family is one of the biggest things that you can have. If it's one person or 30 people in your family that are there behind you, supporting you through this whole thing, for me, they were there for me every step of the way, quite literally. And my grandma's also an amputee. She's been an amputee for 25 years. She got in a car accident, fought to save her leg for multiple years, ended up getting it amputated. And it's interesting because we talk about all the time that people don't really know what we go through as amputees. Mm-hmm. But it's cool to have her in my life. And I've seen what she's gone through even before this. It's crazy to know, to talk to her about what it's like being an amputee before this even happened. Mm-hmm. So then it's like, when this happened, I was like, okay, this is kind of in the ballpark of what to expect, of what's going to happen, what things are going to look like. And since I've seen her do what she's done, I'm like, why can't I?
There it is. There's something about ordered steps. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you don't even realize your steps are being ordered. Mm-hmm. So that you would not wonder of like, I always wondered as an athlete, if I had 2 legs, where would I have been, right? Could I have made it to the NBA, the NFL? I mean, it was like with my passion and purpose and all those things. But you don't have to have that question because you got to see yourself as an athlete in all those realms. Yeah. But then you also had an example of someone in your family you loved. And you knew you'd love them, grandma with or without that leg. Yep. And then to have her as a mentor, an example. And now you're here. able to take all of those things, all those lessons, and what she did for you, you get to do for millions of others. But I think your message goes beyond being an amputee, because it's not about losing something.
Gaining.
Yeah, it's about the gains. And there are some people out there that need to gain something in life.
Yeah.
Would you talk to them about what you've gained, what you've learned, and what they can learn?
When I lost my leg, I thought I'd lost everything. Because like we talked about before, it was my identity. Like having 2 legs and playing sports and being an athlete, hunting, fishing was my identity. Mm-hmm. For a long time, I couldn't do any of those. Mm-hmm. I still really can't. I can go hunting a little bit here and there. But the gain comes from the loss. I look at, professional sports athletes like LeBron and Michael Jordan, all these people that some of their biggest failures and biggest losses were the biggest gains.
Yeah.
They worked harder than they ever did before because of the loss. They pushed themselves to the limit because of their failure. Mm-hmm. And so I've taken that into accountability where I'm like, okay, I've lost this. I have so much more to gain now. And I've gained experience and wisdom and knowledge that I don't think I would have by the time I'm 45, 50 years old, mm-hmm. if I had 2 legs. And the experience that I've gone through, mm-hmm. the pain that I felt, I've talked to this about my friends where I'm like, and my family, where I said, the pain and lessons that I've learned now are going to be such good lessons mm-hmm. for my kids and my grandkids and future people that I get to talk to, mm-hmm. where I can share and be like, this is what happened to me, and what you're going through is similar. So here's a suggestion, or here's what you could do that worked for me.
You begin to give people a roadmap.
Yeah.
In fact, let me tell you this. Sometimes you are tested, right? But you cannot be tested if God didn't trust you.
Yep.
In fact, if you find yourself being tested, it's so that you can become better. Test me, it brings out the best in me. Test me so I can testify how good you've been to me. Test me so that I can show everyone that tests are meant to be passed, not failed, because God does not bring failure. It was not in your goals or plans to say, hey, let me start off as an amputee, mm-hmm. right? But what God saw is that some nurse needed to see what he looked like through you in that bed. What God saw is that your ward needed to see that God can give you a reward, mm-hmm. even in tragedy.
Yeah.
There are things coming out of you, books and things, stories about you, a documentary about you. Would you tell the people what they can look forward to in your story?
I do have a documentary coming up that me and James are working on that I'm really excited about. I have a book that's going to be about my life from the time that I was born till now. And me and him talked about how when you're writing your book, it's crazy because things are still happening in your life where you're like, that could be added to the book, that could be added to the book. Yeah. And you could just keep writing a story about your whole life. But there's a story that I'm going to share in my book about my accident and go in a little more depth and detail about that and the miracles and things that I saw from God that are from God. There's no other way they could have been from anything else but God. That changed my life and changed the course of my life. And it's crazy how it doesn't just change you, it affects everyone around you that you know personally. It affects them in a way where my mom, every time I walk out the door, hugs me a little tighter. Yeah. My dad calls me more because they've said, we don't know what's going to happen, We don't know what accident's around the corner. I have a great grandpa and I have both sets of grandparents. And it's like at any given moment or time, you don't know when their time's going to come. So I always hug people a little tighter, tell them I love you more.
That's why we got to live this thing as if mm-hmm. tomorrow isn't promised.
Yep.
People say, man, why are you so passionate? Why do you give everything? Because I don't know when my clock runs out. Mm-hmm. But I do know my impact can stay. And that's what we're working on. If you're looking for inspiration, look after and follow Hunter. Tell them how they can find you on social media.
Yeah.
And so that they can keep and follow this story.
Yeah. My social media is at _1_legged_Hunter. Or just look up Hunter Rasmussen. It should come up as well.
You said that like that was okay. It's _legged
Hunter.
1_legged Hunter. Wow. Well, I tell you what, what we've gone through has also given us a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Between the two of us, we stand here with 10 toes, but with a foundation that's built on our faith in the process of what we're to take people through. If you're going through a tough time, don't quit. Don't throw in the towel. You can still understand that your worst moment can be your biggest blessing. You're not alone. You got us with you. Till next time, I'm out.